Thank you for inviting me to discuss the changing face of retirement security in America. My name is Olivia Mitchell, and I'm a professor at the Wharton School and director of the Pension Research Council. As a researcher and as a baby boomer, I commend you for bringing up this important issue. I believe, like many here, that this is a very challenging time to be reaching retirement age. 30 years ago, my parents retired. At that time, they had a secure lifetime pension, a generous retiree medical plan. Interest rates were high enough to secure them a steady income without spending down their nest eggs too quickly. They also had inflation-protected lifetime benefits from Social Security and Medicare, and they held no debt. Moreover, they had 4 children they'd sent to college who were always ready to help them out. By contrast, we boomers face a very different future. We worry that Social Security and Medicare, as well as the disability insurance system, are fragile. Few of us have retiree medical coverage or traditional defined benefit pensions. Some of us with defined contribution plans have not put enough in, and what we've put in, we've seen decline. Nor are we converting our assets into lifetime income so that we can't run out in old age. Interest rates are so low that holding tips is a losing proposition. And with longer lifespans in the offing, we very much need protection for long-term care costs, but the products simply are not available or unaffordable. And the topic of my discussion today is debt. Many more boomers are in debt than ever before. In a recent report, I compared 3 cohorts of people age 56 to 61 in the Health and Retirement Study. This is a study where you can follow cohorts over their lifetimes. We focused on people age 56 to 61 in 1992, in 2002, and in 2008. For each group, right on the threshold of retirement, we measured total debt as well as the ratio of debt to assets. Additionally, we focused on patterns of financial fragility using both the HRS and the FINRA National Financial Capability Study, known as NFCS. We came to 2 major conclusions about older Americans' debt levels. First, Americans today are much more likely to arrive at retirement with debt than in the past. For the earlier group, back in the early 1990s, about 64% held debt. Over 70% of the boomers now do so. Moreover, not only do more people hold debt, they hold more debt. That is, median debt more than quadrupled between 1992 to 2008. And the top quarter of the distribution, owing the most, owed $50,000 back in the early 90s. They now owe over $100,000. This is important because boomers retiring in the next several years are much more likely to carry this debt into retirement compared to previous cohorts. And since debt payments typically rise faster than interest rates that retirees can earn on their investments, people will likely be more vulnerable during retirement. Now, a key reason we found that boomers are facing retirement with so much more debt is they spent more on housing than did previous generations. As a result, boomers are much more likely to have very expensive primary residences. Of course, some of those declined somewhat in value over the last few years, and their mortgage values have grown faster than the values of their homes. Median home loans relative to assets rose from 6% back in the early 90s to over 25% now. So boomers will need to continue servicing their home loans into retirement, and they're going to continue being much more leveraged than groups in the past. We drilled down further to look more closely at debt, and we found that in addition to mortgage debt, boomers have had expensive financial habits. They have not paid off their credit cards in full. They've used their credit cards for cash advances. They're charged fees for late payments or exceeding their credit card bills. Another piece of the story is medical bills, also a source of financial problems. This has been mentioned by almost a quarter of the baby boomers. Even more striking was the fact that only about a third said that they thought they could not come up, that only about a third said that they were likely to be able to come up with $2,000 in the next month if faced with an unexpected bill. And this is not a huge bill. This might be a car repair bill or a moderate-sized home bill. So in the wake of the financial crisis and the Great Recession, we now know that more can be done to protect Americans from these problems. We know in particular that there's a strong positive link between financial literacy, planning, saving for retirement, and assets into retirement. Those who are not financially savvy are much more likely to have debt and have lower savings. Now, protective legislation can be useful when people lack the opportunity to make repeated purchases, such as, for example, with annuities, where probably you buy them once. It can also be helpful to better inform Americans when they face potentially expensive decisions that they don't really understand, such as buying a home, taking out a mortgage, cashing out their 401k plans, or taking out credit card loans. I also believe boomers could do better with more access to financial advice, which could generate potentially important rewards in the form of lower debt for those nearing retirement. They also need more information on the benefits of delaying claiming their Social Security benefit. In fact, a number of baby boomers have already reached this conclusion on their own. For example, delaying claiming benefits from 62 to 70, not that that's what everyone should do, but that in itself will mean an additional 76% more in monthly payments. That can do a lot to help the income streams in retirement. Let me stop there and thank you for your attention. I'm happy to answer your questions.
Thank you, Dr. Mitchell.